Statistics are dumb. Unless they're not. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and I can't pull off a backwards hat, so we're just going to flip that right around. Today we're going to be talking about numbers. Numbers, folks. And I understand if you're a little bit wary, if you're a little bit concerned, maybe numbers won't be as entertaining as you want them to be. But quite frankly, it's my podcast. I do what I want. So, there's a saying in an old show, and I hate the fact that I have to call it an old show, but if you've never seen Scrubs, the delightful show and one of the most, at the time at least, accurate medical shows of its era, there's a saying in that show that one of the characters, Dr. Cox, laugh at the name now, go ahead, I'll wait. Dr. Cox says to the main character, JD, essentially, statistics mean everything to a population. They mean nothing to an individual. And he goes on to talk about how both doctors have seen patients fall prey and die from a very basic flu and survive stage 4 cancer. The numbers mean everything to a population. They mean nothing to the individual. And I learned this even deeper. So I have a master's in political science, and that means I had to take some statistics courses. Now, I'm not a statistics, I'm far from a statistics expert, right? Like, I can't sit here and tell you the standard deviation, the R score of something. Like, it's not in my wheelhouse. I struggle with it. There's a reason I mostly write nowadays. But what you learn about statistics is that it is a wonderful tool for evaluating why something happened. It's a less valuable tool for predicting what's going to happen. Football is a really good example of this. And, there's plenty of people who will argue in football, well, you just use the eye test. The eye test is just watching the games and deciding for yourself if, a quarterback or a running back is good or not. Statistically speaking, you can go back through, you can go back through the various plays a team has run, the various formations a team has run. You can break it down into all the different numbers, and you can see how they won the last game. But there's a catch to that. You can see the data on how they won the last game, which is where phrases like, you got to run the ball come from. You got to just run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Successful teams always run the ball. But anybody who knows football knows there's a quirk to that. Successful teams do run the football. This is true. But successful teams run the football in a lot of ways because they're winning the game. They don't want to put the ball in harm's way by throwing it. What they want to do is control the clock as much as they can and keep the clock running. So how do you do that? You run the football. When you have a lead, you get into sort of a protect the ball mode. You get into this, run the clock out essentially mode. Or you're running or you're throwing quick passes. Like, you're not doing anything spectacular. Yes, the data will show you that that's 100% what teams who are winning do. But teams do that because they're winning. So there's a quirk in the data already. No, if you throw the ball so much, look at this quarterback. He can't throw the ball a lick. Okay. But what else was going on in the game? These examples are low-stakes examples of misuse of statistics. Just imagine for a second if that sort of misuse of statistics entered, say, I don't know, common political discourse. Well, we have to do this because the numbers say this is what happens when we try to solve the homeless problem. There's this is the issue. Sure, but what are confounding factors of that? But you can't talk about the confounding factors on a show unless to say, well, there's confounding factors. That number is garbage. The truth is the number's not garbage. It tells us why something was happening last year. Excuse me, I got a bit of that. It tells us why something was happening last year, but it really doesn't give us good predictions for the future. The election with Donald Trump in actually both of his elections was, both elections that he won was a good example. In many ways, the numbers showed that he was not going to win. And yet he did win. Now, the Republicans point to this sort of magic phenomenon called the silent majority. Truth is, the types of people who vote Republican just don't like filling out surveys. And frankly, we get all this survey data. I get it. Pew Research gets all this survey data. Do you know anyone who picks up the phone when Pew Research calls and is just like, oh yeah, let me answer a couple questions for you. Happy to do it. Because that's mostly how they do it. They do, by phone. I don't know anybody who does. Or at least I don't know anybody who wants to, right? So you have to think to yourself, well, they considered the people they got a representative sample, but it's usually about 10,000 people. And it's usually about 10,000 people in, say, New York City. New York City, I don't know if you know, is very different from Gary, Indiana. We love using statistics as a means of making ourselves sound very intelligent and very learned about a subject. We love to use it to make sure that everybody knows that not only do I have, say, a law degree or a PhD or something, but I know what's going on in the world. I've done the research, I've done the numbers. Now, in the scientific fields, it's a little bit different. We look for predictability in behavior in those fields, and we go in and we study why there's randomness. Typically speaking, you find in political discourse, you find that people use statistics and they say, you know what? There's no randomness here. This is why. I have the answers. Don't worry. Politicians do it. Commentators on CNN do it. Fox News does it. Like, everybody does it. They use these different pieces of data without looking at them holistically. And that's really the value of statistics, is part of a holistic picture of what's going on in the world. But if you don't attempt to get your hands around the whole picture, well, you end up with a philosophy of all we have to do is run the football and we're going to win the game. Anybody with half a brain knows that's not true. That's why quarterbacks get paid the most amount of money on the football field. Usually. Sometimes. Statistics would say they do. Anyways, we're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. Like and subscribe. Or don't. But if you did tune in, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.